All right, all right. Have we got everyone here? Yes, we do. Look at that. Sorry about the technical difficulties there for a moment. It is wonderful to have everybody here. Sharon, now's your time to come off mute, and we've been hiding in the background. And as you can see, my lovely cat is hanging out there by the rubbish bin. He's a good time. He might make an appearance. He also likes to be quite culturally insensitive sometimes and jump up on the table. So sorry about that in advance if he does that. It's wonderful to be here today. Welcome everybody. Welcome to Korero Cafe. This is our third Korero Cafe session. I'm going to start very quickly with a karakia and then a quick intro, and then I will introduce you to the wonderful Shannon, who is coming to hang out today. So let's start with the karakia. E te atua. Ho mai kia mātou tō māramatanga, tō rangimarie, tō kaha me tō aroha mō tēnei rā. Āmine. All right. Kia ora koutou. No mai haere mai ki tēnei Zui or webinar or digital book club. But most importantly, Korero Cafe. Ka manaaki o kia koutou. So me, kei tamaki makoto taku kāinga, kei te in my bubble with ko Matthew Mason taku tāne, ko Augustine taku nero. Oh, he's down here now, you can't see him. Ko Teddy rawa ko Lily aku rāpiti. That's my bubble. And kei Arataiohi taku mahi, I work for Arataiohi, and ko Zara tōku ingoa. So I'll be your host today. I'm here from my bubble at home, even though it's level 3, literally nothing has changed for me. Oh, except I did order some slippers, and I get to pick them up today, probably right after this. That'll be a good time, from Kmart. So yay. Welcome to Korero Cafe. If you are here and you don't have anything with you, I recommend grabbing a cup of coffee or something, a cup of whatever you're into, and pretend you're in a cafe. Good to see you've got something there too, Sharon. Part of the kaupapa of this event is it is a little bit like a digital book club. We're going through a wonderful thing called kaipara huarahi, which I'll get to shortly. So if you want to grab something and pretend you're in a cafe, grab a drink, grab something to eat. The last couple of sessions I have had something to eat, but then I feel awkward when I eat on camera. So today I don't have anything, so my tummy will be rumbling. But I hope that you have something with you today. So Korero Cafe is an initiative by Arataiohi. Arataiohi is the peak body for youth development in Aotearoa. So anything youth development related, anything to do with youth workers, anything to do with young people, that is our bread and butter, and that's what we're interested in. Big thanks to the team who helps put this on. I'm just here to host. I don't really do much. Behind the scenes, we've got Shannon, we've got Jane tuning in, and a few others here as well too. So thank you very much, team, for being here. This is a good time. My role at Arataiohi is I head up Korowai Tupu. Korowai Tupu is the professional association for youth workers in Aotearoa, and it's a professional body the same way that lots of counsellors or social workers will sign up to a professional body. This is one for youth workers, and I will of course utilise this opportunity to promote that. So to let you know, about an hour ago we made it official that we're going to keep our application fees free for the rest of level 3 at least. So it's hard to get youth workers behind a computer, and this is the perfect opportunity for youth workers to apply for Korowai Tupu. So if you're interested in that, definitely hit me up. I would love to hear from you. Like I said, we are going through, so for Korero Cafe, we're going through this wonderful book here, which is called Kaipara Huarahi. This is a journal for youth workers, and it's written by youth workers, it's for youth workers, and it is incredible. This is the 2nd edition, and it goes through an amazing new framework for youth development principles known as Manaakitanga. And so each of these articles in Kaipara Huarahi aligns with something from, aligns with a principle from Manaakitanga. And so today we have the wonderful Sharon, who's going to be talking to us about Manaakitanga. I'll throw it to you in a second, Sharon, to introduce yourself. But very quickly, first, a little bit of housekeeping. So we recommend you guys use, actually normally we recommend gallery view, but I'm gonna not recommend that today because there's just the two of us. So although it would be nice, yeah, use gallery view because I want you to look at Sharon rather than me. Sharon's gonna hate me for saying that, but yes, do use gallery view. There's also a chat function, which I see that you've figured out already. So feel free to use this. Give us a hi or a cheers or a Zara, your cat's on the table. That's tapu, tell it to get off. Anything that you want to send through. And also down the bottom, you'll see there is a Q&A, and that is the spot for you to ask questions. Once Sharon gets talking, I'm sure that your questions will flow through. So feel free to pop them through there and we'll do our best to answer them in the time that we have. Also, there's also a feature where you can put your hand up. So you're welcome to put your hand up if you'd like to ask your question verbally. We haven't done that yet, so maybe today's the day. That would be very exciting for all of us if we had a verbal question come through. Also, to let you know, there's a poll which it looks like it's about 50-50 split of people who have read the article and haven't read the article. If you have read the article, bam, that was some brownie points. Those are from me. Bam, brownie points for you. Thank you for reading the article. It's a very good article. I've read it and I was actually very moved from it. So if you haven't read it, it's okay. If you have, then bam, more brownie points coming your way. All right, that's enough from me. So I would love to introduce you to the one and only Sharon Davis. She is an incredible youth worker. She's very well loved by the Arotaiohi team. She does youth work in Whangarei for Te Orohau, and Te Orohau is a special place in my heart because many of my friends in Ōtautahi work down there, so of which we both know them, which is quite cool for me. So thank you very much, Sharon. Over to you, my lovely, and I will be quiet now.
Thank you, Zara. Tēnā te mihi kia koutou ngā whānau a tāhua o Arotaiohi. Te whakawhawhai te taha toku whaia tūpuna. Ko puki hui e te maunga, ko hokianga te awa, ko te piti te marae, ko Ngāti Taharau me Ngāti Hau Oku Hapu, ko Ngā Hui Nui Tonu te iwi, ko Sharon Davis ahau. Zara asked me, I work in a little place called Whangarei and in a little youth work team in Te Orohau. I started as a youth worker when I was 18. I fell in love with a fella called Lee Davis who went to Te Orohau Boys Club, and as a result of that I learned all about Te Orohau and joined in at 18. I've worked in different places because I'm 52 now, so that's really old. And so what it means is that when I was young, you couldn't do youth work as a job, like you couldn't get employed. So I went off to the dark side and trained in social work and social policy, and then went into a whole lot of community development stuff. Probably my passion or my heart over the past 20 years has been working with teen parents and developing a school and a early childcare centre and a residential home and antenatal classes and all that, just working with young people who had babies, yeah. So, and now I'm back full circle again, back in the youth work team. So, yeah, I'm not sure if that's enough information, but that's a little bit about me.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sharon. I cannot believe that you're 52. That's blown my mind. I mean, it makes sense given all of the wisdom that I've heard from you, but that does not match up with your appearance. So that is a compliment. That is a huge compliment, and I'm quite amazed. So thank you very much, Sharon. Hey, so like I said, 50% of the people have read the article, and this is something that you do in the article, but we'd love to hear from you anyway. So the first question that I have for you is, are you able to break down the word Manaakitanga and tell us a little bit about, well, first of all, what Manaakitanga is, and I know that a lot of that comes down from breaking down the word, so if you could do that, that would be wonderful.
Well, I think when you when you boil it all down, it literally means to intentionally care for a person's mana, their well-being in a holistic and collective sense. It's all about the intentional actions that enhance and raise a young person up. It's about all the actions we do with others, alongside others, for the purpose of looking after a person in their wholeness. So in the article I talked about, because mana is quite a, it's such a huge, precious spiritual word, but shall I break down each of the bits of the word? So the first part of Manaakitanga is mana. So it is the power and authority bestowed, gained, inherited individually and collectively. It's dynamic, right? And everything we do as youth workers either munches mana or enhances mana. When we're kind to someone, it enhances them. When we put them down, we munch them. Does that sort of make sense? Aki is a really cool part of manaaki because it's the bit that means we urge on, we encourage, we challenge, which makes manaaki not just a nice a blah blah word. It gives manaaki the punch it needs. So sometimes you're kind and loving and caring, and other times you're gonna to raise somebody up, you gotta do the business. You know, you've got to put the boundaries in place. You've got to say, yeah, that's the manaaki bit. Tanga means that it's an action. So Manaakitanga never happens unless you actually do something. Yeah? Yeah. So what are the actions, what are the things that we do every day that raise people up and enhance them, not munch them? That's the beginning of Manaakitanga.
Incredible, thank you very much. Hey, just in case it becomes an issue later on, and I'm very sorry about this to everybody. I am having some technical issues with my volume and automatic muting, but I'm managing it. But it's meaning that I'm not quite catching everything that you say. Everyone else will be, so don't worry, Sharon. But just a heads up for everyone else. Thank you very much for breaking that down, though. It's very helpful, and I love that in your article you talk about how it is an action word, but it's also like it's got a bit of oomph behind it as well, which is cool. Tell me, Sharon, how do you feel about that? And this is something I've noticed, and I wonder if in the comments people could tell me if they've also noticed it too. Very commonly, the word Manaakitanga is translated to the English word hospitality. How do you, is that true? Let us know in the chat. Have you heard Manaakitanga to be translated as hospitality? But also, tell me, Sharon, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that captures it? Does that capture it entirely? Or, yeah, what would you say about it being translated to hospitality?
So you know how, I call them blah blah words, you know, like even Māori words, you have them written everywhere, but they're just blah blah. They don't necessarily mean anything. You know, they just become words that you use all the time, like haora. It's just used, thrashed, and it doesn't mean anything. I think hospitality is a word like that too. So when I did my pipiha, I only did my Ngāpuhi side, but I'm also Ngāti Whātua, and I also have English, Irish, Scottish ancestors. So I think hospitality is a word that's been I don't think it's been given a fair go. So I definitely know that we've lost the deep sense of honour associated with the word hospitality, which back in the day implied care and protection as well as bed and kai. And for people who are deeply spiritual and come from different spiritual traditions, showing hospitality was a sign that you were into God, that it was an action that you did because they were a child of God. Do you understand what I mean? It was a sign that our community is alive, that it is not afraid, that we've got something to share with the world. It actually comes from the Latin word hospice, which means to have power. Don't you think that's delicious? So hospitality is about that powerful practice of welcoming other people into our homes or places where we work, travel, spend our time. It's about giving space to someone in your heart. So we can't trash the word hospitality, because originally it meant giving place to someone in your heart and welcoming in their home and doing the tanga deed, you know, like getting the business done. So yeah, if it's just translated hospitality, which is like, then maybe. But if you go back to the deep sense of our ancestors from back in the day, just like for Manaakitanga, yeah, we can't trash someone's word because there was deep honour in how you took care of people.
Right. Somebody, Hannah in the chat has said yes, she has heard that it's translated as hospitality before, but it means so much more. Do you
Yeah.
do you agree with that? And if so, what more does it mean than just hospitality?
I think Manaakitanga is a total way of being. I think that's the difference between just giving a cup of tea. But then, like what I said about hospitality, that was so much more too. I think it's really important not to trash words, because just like what we're doing with Manaakitanga, we've taken a word and we're trying to go deeper. I think the original meaning of hospitality was also deep, you know? I don't think the current word hospitality is the same as Manaakitanga. I mean, you take, for example, when you run a hui, you look at all the components that are more than just a cup of tea. It's the pōwhiri, it's the kōrero, it's the whanaungatanga, it's the setting out the mattresses, it's the cleaning the toilets, it's the cooking the hangi, you know, all those sorts of things. And if we think of you think of camps. I think of our last Manaaki camp, far out, you know, it's the total shebang, you're absolutely exhausted. I think that's what Manaakitanga is sometimes. It's the total exhaustion that comes from, we want to bless you, we want to honour you, we want you to know that you're the bee's knees. So I think Manaakitanga is like that total giving of yourself. So yes, I think Hannah's right when she says it like that.
Cool, awesome. Hey, another part of your article that I would love to pick up on is you say in the article that you've talked about what Manaakitanga means, and you've talked about the depth of that. In your article, you say you don't want to romanticize it, and then you acknowledge that Manaakitanga isn't always easy. Sometimes it can feel like a little bit of a burden. And so my question for you is, what about Manaakitanga and burnout? How can we practice self-care, or how can youth workers look after themselves, but while still going for the extra mile for everyone? What can we do to make sure that we don't end up burning ourselves out by practicing Manaakitanga too hard?
Well, I can think of an example in whangarei. Okay, so you're right. Manaakitanga is not always comfortable. It's demanding. People are hoha, ugly, unhelpful, ungrateful. Yes, so that's what makes it hard. What I believe is that when Manaakitanga is a me thing, when I'm just doing it by myself, I think that's when burnout has huge potential. Because I've been doing this for a long time now. When Manaakitanga is a we thing, and I think that sometimes is the difference too between hospitality and Manaakitanga, when it's a we thing that we do together with others and alongside others, it helps to take the burden off, doesn't it? Helps take the burden off. So every youth worker, like in whangarei, they've all got the group things that they do together. There's all the we things that we do together, and then everyone has their own passions, you know, individual things that they do, like individual things they do. And we had one youth worker who's Alicia Baker, who's fantastic, and she worked part-time for us, and she also worked part-time for Praxis. And one of the things that she did for Praxis was she would organise this noho, about 30 different youth workers in training who would come to our area to do a Treaty of Waitangi workshop, and they'd stay with us. And because that was Alicia's project, she would do that project, right? And she'd do it by herself. I mean, we'd help with different bits and pieces, but she'd principally do it by herself, right? When we sat down together and talked about how it would be better, because it's exhausting to host different people from different centres, when we decided as a team, how could we manaaki her, how could we awhi her and help her, and how could we make that project a we thing, where we took care of these wonderful, gorgeous Praxis students training to be youth workers from different parts of the country, and participate in the caring for them while they did this workshop. It took the burden off her. it took the, not that she wasn't doing it fantastically, she was doing it fantastically, but we could come along and add all the extra bits and pieces. Like now we do a hangi, now our team and their team gather together and we share stories. Manaakitanga, when you move it from I to we, helps to eliminate burden. And I think we have a responsibility when we work in teams together to do that. We should look at each other's projects and think, how can I help you or offer you and help to take a little bit of the burden off without adding a bit more burden to myself. It's amazing how if 10 of you do something, it's done like that and with a bit more happiness than if you're just doing it by yourself, because that's your little project.
I love that. I wanna quote you where you said moving from when I do something to when we do something, it becomes easier. That is amazing, and I think there's some good examples I can think of from my life of teams who I've seen do that really well. Because as you say, and I'm loving this, by the way, as you say, the burden of manaakitanga on an individual is hard to sustain. And Briley's actually said here, with the move from I to we to sustain self-care. I love it. That's fantastic. Hey, we've had a question come through from somebody who is anonymous. And their question is, as a youth worker, how can you action manaakitanga during this COVID-19 period? That's a hard question, and I wonder if you have any ideas.
Oh, yeah. So, very important. So one of the things that we discovered is we thought that young people would miss us, but our youth workers had didn't absolutely realise how devastating it was to them as a youth worker to not have young people, because their whole life is it. So it was this horrible realisation. So manaaki is often, people are at the gate and you invite them into your space. So when you have a manaakitanga mindset, you think, okay, COVID-19 means rahui and lockdown, which for a Māori is just like a hideous concept, right? And so we just thought as a team, okay, well, how do we do the bee's knees and how do we get to home visit? So we developed a strategy with Salvation Army, and we get to pack and deliver kai, and all of our young people have been seen multiple times with kai. And we've done over 300 home visits in this period, which is just delicious. Like, you can't hug and all that sort of stuff, although, you've got to still remain in your bubble, but you get to see them at the gate, you get to hear their stories, what's happening, whatever. So that was one way that our team overcame that. We got together and thought, okay, we can't deliver manaaki where they're coming to us. Let's think about how we deliver manaaki by going to them. Who can we partner with, because we don't have any food or a food source? We partnered up, we get together, we pack food, we get in our little vans and we drive off and we get to go kia ora, and we give kai, but on the pretense that we just need to get to see you and love on you, and in our neighbourhood, in our community, doing what we do in the way that we're comfortable with, and it's just delicious and gorgeous. As well as a young person getting to see, yeah, they love me, they care about me, they understand what's happening in my circumstances.
That's amazing. And rumour has it that you've had young people chase you down the street.
Could I just say Alicia Baker is terrible. She's very terrible at not running away. They have fully embraced her and are hugging on to her, and she's to shower viciously to get all the germs off.
Hilarious. I love the creativity from both you and the young people. Hey, I'd like to encourage people to send through some questions. We've had a couple which are cool and we've answered them, but if you've got any more, then feel free to do it. Actually, I see one's come through in the chat right here. Interesting to hear that tanga is action. What measurable actions can we do with our youth to ensure manaakitanga is covered under 788? Now, from what I understand, that is that's a law. That's a new law-y thing. But I guess, I'm not sure if you're familiar with 7AA or not. Okay, so let's just take the first part of that question, which is what about measurable actions? How can we measure manaakitanga? Is the measure of manaakitanga whether or not somebody jumps over a fence and chases you down the street?
I think there's, when you say what does, sorry, I don't understand what the person, what they mean about measurable. So do they mean like you give a kai box, so that's measurable, that one, you've done a home visit, and two, you've given kai, or what? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Let's make it up here, because I'm not 100% sure either. But let's go with, so some often people will fill out like a funding application for and they'll say like, with this money we're going to manaaki our young people. We'll make sure that people feel Manaakitanga. How would you measure that? How would you go back and say, oh well, we definitely did that? Do you have any ideas for how to measure Manaakitanga?
I'm not sure, because I think like definitely in our youth group team we're moving where we try to, manaaki can be used to describe just about everything we do. Like one of the things we do is childbirth education classes, and no antenatal. So we do childbirth education classes for young people that are aged between 13 and 23 having babies. So no antenatal class in whangarei gets anything except for a cup of tea and a round wine biscuit. And so when you're describing manaaki, you have to describe it in terms of what is it that it's raising up. Our antenatal class, we give a full kai, like a full nutritious meal that goes with their learning, that goes with their learning. And so we always describe it in terms of funding applications, that that's one of the things we use a manaaki process, a kōwhiri process for manaaki. And so when we're describing what we do and how we do it, we describe it according to a kōwhiri process. So it's so manaaki is culturally defined, and kai goes with that. And the outcome is that a young tāne and a young hapu mama are learning all the principles of how to give birth to a baby safely, and to enhance that we use kai. Do you understand? Is that helpful or not?
Yeah, I think that's very helpful. I think that's cool, and I think that's a very cool example. And if ever I'm hapu, I'd like to come along to your class. It sounds great. All right, we've got a few questions come through now. Thanks, Tane, for sending them through. We'll do our best to get through them all. So this one's from my old mate Shannon King. How do you suggest enhancing Manaakitanga in an agency that is stuck in stale ways of old?
Actually, sorry, I've just seen something that Bibi wrote on here. Hi Bibi, hi TC. So can I just go back to that last question?
Yeah, great.
So in the article I talked about it briefly, but one of the ways that we know that one way that manaaki can be measured is we have a whakapakari leadership group, and one of the ways we know that the manaaki things that we're teaching them is when they demonstrate it also. So we have young people that serve in the community, help in the community, like this year, they helped with the junior camp. They did all the manaaki processes. So I guess, thank you, Bibi, for saying that. It's when a young person has learned from you and then they give back to the community and then they practice those same things again. All those things are measurable. We can do that with that whakapakari group. We can show the things they're learning and what they're giving back to the community. Thanks, Bibi. That was a good.
Cool.
That's measurable, eh? You can see it. Totally. See the evidence in a young person's life who then outwork it in the community. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I think it's a great way to measure something. Thanks for that prompting. So this other question that we had from Shannon is, how do you suggest enhancing Manaakitanga in an agency that is stuck in the stale ways of old? So it sounds like maybe the organisation hasn't done Manaakitanga well. And what suggestions do you have? I guess maybe like some basic starting points to bring in Manaakitanga as a value of that organisation.
Are they? Well, for our organisation, we made a decision that I think firstly you have to do it really, really simply. You have to start with what are the actions that you do as a person. So how do you? one way that we did it in our organisation is we made a decision that everybody who came into our organisation would be welcomed properly and welcomed in a mihi whakatau, which is not like a big, huge pōwhiri process, but we have a welcoming process that everyone in the organisation participates in. So it's not just the same old people all of the time. So I think I think that's a really important thing. I think you have to have a conversation together and use words that people are familiar with, and then try a practice. So, for example, it might be as simple as getting together and say, if we want to be a welcoming community or a community that honours our workers. Because remember, Manaaki is not just about the stranger; it's about the people that are in our midst. How do we do that? You know, sometimes it's about, for example, there's lots of people that don't do a shared practice of shared kai. Like in your organisation, do you have a practice of gathering together around a table, bringing kai and sharing that and having conversation? Do you understand what I mean? So sometimes we want to do these really big, great things, but sometimes we have to start with a conversation about how are we welcoming, and what are the one or two things that we need to do to show that we care for people.
Cool, awesome. And you've actually touched on another question that Jane's put through, although she's just pulled it back, but I'd like you to expand on it a little bit more if possible. Can you talk about the effect of Manaakitanga on the people who receive it? Because it's not just about giving. What does it do for me when I Manaaki somebody?
What does it do for you?
Yeah, how does it go both ways?
I think in youth work, I mean, one of the purposes of Manaaki is connection. And connection, Brené Brown talks about connection is the energy that is created between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued. So the total purpose one of the purposes of Manaaki is that people feel seen, heard, and valued. And after many, many years of really sucking at Manaaki, of being of really sucking at taking care of people, of being stroppy, feisty, you know, because I'm human too, you know, really stuffing it up. I've forgotten what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it. Sorry, Zara, could you just remind me about what I meant to be on?
So we're talking about how what you were saying was fantastic. We and even the chat's like, oh, we love listening to you. So it's about how does Manaakitanga affect the people who give it as well as those who.
Sorry. So when I was talking about the purpose, one of the purposes of Manaakitanga is connection. So if people feel seen, heard, and valued, there's a whole lot of things you can do. Like you can help them with their goals, you can help them with their schooling, you can help them in a whole lot of different ways, but you've got to do that platform first, and then as young people feel those things, then they start sharing other things with you, and then you can help them in different ways. Do you understand what I mean? So for example, when I did youth work in a residential home, sometimes you'll have young mums that might be 14 and they don't know how to share, right? And as you practice Manaaki and caring for them, and as a whole lot of people start giving stuff to them for them and their baby, nurturing and caring for them as they feel seen, heard, and valued, then when they grow out of their pram, and this is a true story, we have many, many teen mums now who, because of the Manaaki, the love and the care they receive, they now give clothes, they sponsor kai, prams, car seats, whatever. So Manaaki was given to them, and then you see how Manaaki comes back, because it comes back, for example, in generosity.
That's incredible. It's almost like Manaakitanga is like a flow, like it doesn't stop, you know, like you receive and you give, and then that's received, and then that's given, and then that's received and that's given, you know, like it keeps moving, the action.
Yeah, I think Manaaki is a spiritual flow. If you wanted to sum it up, you're absolutely right. I do, like, for example, if you some of the most memorable experiences for me are being in a hot, poor country and you're doing work and someone gives you a cold glass of water. I don't necessarily, I think they're really simple actions that just uppy a person and help you to keep working, or to keep going. Yeah. So I think if our manaaki is working, then that person then gives manaaki to someone else. I do. That's what I think happens. And sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. Like sometimes it's not till years later that a young person gets it. I'm fortunate to be in the position that I see people now who are in their well, I went to a wedding a month ago for someone in her 40s, and that person, when she owned her own business, she paid my wage for half a year. Yeah, so I'm really, really. I mean, I personally have been. I mean, obviously paid it through Te Ora Hau, but when she ran her own business, and that's how part of the reason I was able to get the teen parent stuff going, because she invested back into the mahi of Te Ora Hau because of what she'd received as a young person. Yeah,
That's beautiful. Another question that's come through from Sai is, he said, what other tanga or actions work alongside Manaakitanga? And I know for me, I've heard Manaakitanga and Whanaungatanga work used together heaps. Are there any others that you'd add to that as well? Or tell us about Whanaungatanga and how that works alongside?
Well, I think any tanga does, like wairua tanga. Like basically, I think, for example, like with wairua tanga, if you don't do the tangaring, like if you're not doing titau tanga, that's my favourite. Yeah, maybe I should talk about that. Like if you're not doing titau tanga, if you're not doing the tangaring, then there's no wairua. It's like manaaki. If you're not doing the tangaring, there's no manaaki. Whanaungatanga, there's no whānau if you're not doing the tanga. So even when I was writing Manaakitanga, I kept thinking, oh, this is Whanaungatanga, and so then now this is the point I have to go back to. There is no Māori word that does not flow, or concept that does not flow into another concept. But Manaakitanga, I think karakia, Manaakitanga, and kaitiakitanga, I think they're the three things that doesn't matter what tribe you come from, what nationality you come from, those things are really really important. But tanga is the action. All that being spiritual, if you're not doing spiritual actions. Yeah, I think anything with an action word, Manaakitanga, supports that, because when you manaaki someone, you're trying to lift their mana. Hey, that's what you're doing. I'm going to exhort you, encourage you, help you. Come on, babe, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. That's what you're doing all the time, eh? And so that builds Whanaungatanga. Hey, it builds like in Te Ora Hau, individual, small group, large group. But it only happens if you tanga. If you and don't make it hard. Just start with something simple. So every meeting I have with a outside organisation, I always have a cold carafe or jug of water, and I have a bowl of chocolate. You know why I do that? Because it pays attention to detail, but I can't cook. So I just do something that shows I'm prepared for our meeting. I'm waiting for you. Start with something small, but tanga it. If you're not, sorry, that's the tea towel. Yeah. If you don't like, yeah, and
explain the tea towel tanga thing. What you're do you want to explain the tea towel tanga for those who haven't heard?
Tea towel tanga is knowing how to get down and dirty. You have to know how to empty the bin. It doesn't matter whether you've got a degree in youth group. You got to know how to do the dishes. You got to know how to get the mattresses out. You've got to know how to do the washing. You've got to know your role and your place, but you also got to know how to do the hard work. In Te Ora Hau, we had this thing: beginning, middle, end. You got to know how to do the mahi before. You got to know how to do the mahi in the middle, and you got to know how to do the mahi at the end. So many youth workers love to do the middle. That's the rara. That's the bit where you're seen and you're doing the cool ABLs and all that sort of stuff, but many times don't know how to get down with the follow-up. You know, like sometimes following up a small group, that's hard. You know, and this COVID-19, it's getting on the phone. It's trying to hunt them down. It's trying to see where they are. It's not giving up. Te Tautanga is about doing the simple, messy, dirty things that need to be done so that the space or the area where young people hang out is fabulous. And that I think that's what it is. And even when you're leaders, even when you run an organisation, Lou and me really believe it's our responsibility as workers to go and help them with their camps, cook. It's dumping the rubbish. It's about all the little things behind that serve and help youth workers to be fabulous. So yeah, Simon's quite right. Manaakitanga goes with all the other tangas. So my advice is tanga it if you can.
Tanga it. That's awesome. I love especially in my experience of staying on marae is, you know, you receive this welcome, you go through the pōwhiri process, and then I remember being told, you know, now that you're welcome, you're part of the family, you're here, time to do the dishes. Like time to step in, just like you're part of the family.
Yeah.
And I find sometimes that's where the best wānanga happens anyway, as while you're peeling potatoes together, or while you're doing the dishes. And I think sometimes that's some of the most rewarding is when you start getting down and dirty. And it's good for every part of your well-being too. Hey, if you're helping out in the garden, it's good for you physically too. Hey, we've got one last question here, and I think this would be good to finish on. It's not off topic, but it is a slightly different question. This has come from Jane, which is, can you talk about the new youth development model from Te Orohau, the Tohatoha? Can you tell us about that?
Not really, Jane.
Right, that's fine if the answer. That's really fine.
We are trying our very hardest, and if there's old Te Orohau people, we are trying our very hardest to write down. Tohatoha means it's sharing, it's life-giving generosity. That's what. So oha oa is generosity, life-giving generosity. So we are like Te Orohau is complete and utter fanatics of youth workers. We believe you absolutely have the power to change the world, because you go into communities and neighbourhoods and homes that no one goes into, and you breathe life into young people's hearts and help them to see that in this journey of up and down, in this journey of complications, in this journey of challenge and uncertainty, you're still amazing. And so Tohatoha is about gathering the stories of youth work and young people about what worked well. You know, like what is it about what we do and how we practice that honours you and helps you and grows you. We're looking at terms in terms of fresh ways to look at terms, you know, so that terms aren't blah blah. In terms of apunga, like learning, what are all the different ways that young people learn from a youth worker? Apunga tūhonohono in terms of connections, what are all the way? We've developed our own view of whānau and what whānau, how we could define whānau in a fresh way for youth work. So those are some of the things that we're doing. But Jane, just like for Arataiaho here, in terms of taking that big word of mana and then breaking it down into mana enhancing practices, which I think is just amazing what you've done. And you know how you wrestle with all those words and what to say and how to do. We're still in that process of wrestling through, and we're trying to keep it simple. So what did we learn? And obviously some people who are attending today, I'd love to hear your comments and views of what was good about Te Orohau, what sucked about Te Orohau, and what would you share about what is good for a youth worker to know so that they can up their young person. So we're trying to do that. Yeah, that really hard process of writing down what you did or what you're trying to do and what's good for young people. In a world that's changing, so what was maybe good back in the day is not good now. Yeah.
Hard to keep up sometimes, hey?
Yeah.
That's incredible, the very valuable process, and I get to do that in my role with Koroai Tupu of encouraging youth workers to name what they do and why they do it, and sometimes that's not easy to do, but an incredible process once you get there. Hey, Sharon, thank you so much. You have been incredible today. We're going to wrap up because this is kind of the time frame that we're aiming for. But I'll throw it to you one last time. Is there anything that you any final words, anything that you want to add to today, or anything you want to say before we finish up?
Yeah. So Manaaki does not come easy to me. It's not a natural thing. I really encourage you to start really little, and surround yourself with people who are really good at it. I'm fortunate in that every single youth work team I've been in, there has been a Manaaki queen, like say Briley Birch, or my husband is a Manaaki king. It just comes to him naturally. And Alicia Baker, she's another Manaaki queen. And they're all, find someone who just naturally loves on people and role model one or two things that they do, and you will see how your practice changes, simply because it's so delicious and surprising and amazing when it happens to a young person. They're just so, you do what someone else does really well and you give it a go in your own way, but you don't have to be a queen. You don't have to be particularly amazing or talented or whatever. Just the fact that you're in the artia with your head, heart and hands, trying to do stuff is enough. And because Manaaki is a spiritual practice, when you do all of those acts of kindness, I think something quantum leaps. There's a magic in an intentional practice of wanting to bring a young person into your heart and to change their world. And yeah, so I think Manaaki is one tanga action that can really, really change a young person's life if you do it consistently over a period of time. Blessings as you practice Manaaki and Whanaungatanga, Titautanga, all the other tangas, because I think, you have the power to change the world through those actions.
Oh, I feel like I've just come off the back of a motivational talk, and my eyes are watering, and I just want to go out there and go and love people. Oh my goodness, Sharon, you have been incredible today. I feel really empowered by being by basking in your wisdom today. Simon said preach, and I totally, preach, girl. I love it. This is amazing, and I look forward to spending more time with you as I've gotten to know you through this process. And I think I'll probably come up to Whangarei and receive some manaaki from you, babe.
Yeah, please do.
Sounds like a really good time. Hey, thank you so much to all of our attendees today. It's been wonderful to have you here, but most importantly, thank you so much to Sharon and Ngamihi Nui Kia Koe. You've been amazing today, and I've really enjoyed this, as I know our panelists have as well. To let you know that coming up next week, we have the amazing Matakino will be coming and speaking. He'll be sharing about Māori and mana, which is cool because we've kind of talked a little bit about those today. They've kind of been themes underneath it all, which is cool. So it'll be 10:30 again next Thursday. We'll be hearing from Matakino. But for now, thank you again, Sharon. Thank you to our attendees, and I will finish with a karakia. So, kia tātou katoa. Te atawhai o tō tātou ariki a ihu karaite. Me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhingatahitanga ki te wairua tapu. Ake, amine. Thank you, everyone. I'll let you all log off slowly, and we look forward to seeing you again next week, hopefully.